Hi, I have a little secret.
This is Teaching for Women. So, you've been called to serve. So, I wanted to talk to you about the commandments that you just read off that you're going to be keeping, because you're already breaking one of them with your graven image between your breasts, the crucifix, the cross, the image made onto the beast in Revelation 13, the false Messiah that teaches you to do the sin unto death in 1 John chapter 5. Little children, keep yourself from idolatry. The image that had of a man that had a wound by the sword and did live. Isaiah 44, the workman that stretches out his ruler marks it with a line, makes the image of a man according to the beauty of a man. Romans 1, making the uncorruptible God into an image of a corruptible man. This is why he says to come out of her, my people, in Revelations 18. Come out of the churches and do not participate in her idolatries. Constantine, when he converted, he was pagan. He worshipped the sun god Tammuz. And Ezekiel chapter 8, weeping for Tammuz, abominations placed in the house, the Egyptian cross, representing the first letter of his name with a little loop on the top, representing the sun. This is why you see the crucifix, the Messiah on the cross with a sundial behind his head, because Constantine incorporated the pagan traditions of how they worship their gods in the church. Deuteronomy chapter 12, do not ask how they worship their gods so you can worship their gods. Jeremiah 10, do not learn the ways of the heathen. Do not cut a tree out from the forest, bring it in your house, nail it down so it doesn't topple over, and deck it with silver and gold. Jeremiah 4:7-44, do not honor the queen of heaven. They bake cakes to Ishtar, Easter, Astaroth. The sin that got the northern kingdom divorced by Yahovah and scattered to the four corners of the world. Constantine changing the holy Sabbath day, the seventh day, Yahovah's sign between him and his children, a perpetual covenant, Exodus 31, verse 16-18, to sun god day worship, because he worshiped the sun god and mixed the profane with the holy. Read Ezekiel 8. You're breaking the commandments. If you want to enter into life, you have to keep the commandments. That includes getting rid of your cross so you don't have any graven images that make you deaf, dumb, and blind. Psalms 115, 135, because if you trust in them, you become like them. And every single church building has an image made onto the beast on their building, on their books, on their altars. The women and men wear them around their necks and between their breasts. So Satan can have intelligence with them. Daniel 11, verse 30, he is going to have indignation against the Holy Covenant and intelligence with those who forsake it, who break his commandments. Yeshua was prophesied to magnify the law and make it honorable, and he did with his 2 commandments that he gave us in Matthew 22. Love God with all your heart, soul, and mind, quoting Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 5, to keep the commandments in your heart, teach them to your children, it will be your righteousness. And the 2nd commandment, which is the royal law, love your neighbor as thyself, I am the Lord, quoting Leviticus chapter 19, 15-18, do not do any unrighteousness in judgment, like Yeshua rebuked the Pharisees for it in Matthew 15, for rebuking the disciples for unwashed hands, commandments of men. Not doing righteous judgments, which is judging by Yahovah's righteousness, the 10 commandments. But judge them by the 10 Commandments is righteousness. Do righteous judgment. Do not be respecters of persons or you commit sin. That means don't not rebuke your neighbor when you see them sin, because they're going to die in their iniquity. Ezekiel chapter 3. And then he's going to require their blood at your hands. You become a murderer. But rebuke your neighbor when you see them sin, so they don't suffer sin upon them. Love thy neighbor as thyself. I am the Lord. If you keep his commandments in your heart and you teach them to your children, and it's your righteousness, then he'll send you the second comforter, the Spirit of truth in John 14, only given to those who obey God, Acts 5:32. That will teach you his truth so you can reprove the world of sin, John 16. Reprove is rebuke. Look it up in the Strong's Concordance. This is what you have to do to enter into life, what he told the rich man in Matthew 19. To honor your father and your mother, which is Deuteronomy chapter 6, what he quoted with his first commandment, and to love your neighbor as yourself, where all the law and the prophets hang on those two commandments. That's how you enter into life. You're supposed to teach others to do that. Like Matthew 5 says, if you keep the commandments and you teach others to keep the commandments, you'll be great in the kingdom of heaven. But if you break one of those least commandments and teach others to, turning the grace of God into lasciviousness, unbridled lust, wantonness, shamelessness, that you can come before the Lord in your sin shameless because you got unmerited favor, you're blaspheming the Holy Ghost, which is the unforgivable sin. Because the grace of God given to all men in Titus 2, G5:4-8-5, especially divine influence upon the heart, teaches you to deny sin, which is the transgression of the law, which is Yeshua's 2 commandments where all the law and prophets hang on. We're supposed to keep the 10 commandments and teach others too. We're supposed to eat clean. This is the Noah covenants, Genesis 6-9. It has not been done away with. He did not make all things clean. Read Isaiah chapter 65 and 66. Those that have swine's flesh in their vessels, standing behind a Jeremiah 10 Christmas tree, and all the abominations and the mouse are going to be destroyed when he returns with fire. End time prophecy. And then you can be his peculiar people, that he will purify onto himself, so they're zealous of good works. Because they're rebuking in the gate, they've picked up their staff and walked, preaching the actual gospel, what Yeshua called everyone to do. But few people are willing to do it. You're excited because you were called from your apostate church. But are you excited when someone actually tells you the truth? To pick up your staff and actually do it? Keeping the 10 commandments, keeping his Sabbath day, dawn Saturday to dawn Sunday, rebuking sin out of the church and out of your neighbors that aren't keeping the 10 commandments, who say that they believe, because you can only rebuke those in the church, those that claim to believe. You cannot rebuke the heathen. Proclaiming his true name, Yeshua, for he